Get ready, here we go. Start it off with a horror story.
I was born in a huge family, cousins from almost every country, so it would be hard for me to be an introvert. I was also the most misbehaved girl in our house. I did so many stupid things while growing up, and I never listened to my parents or
I mean, who did it? It's a growing phase, right?
anybody. One time I remember I was in my hometown with my family. I run into the farms every time I go there. This time was no different. Nightfall came and I did the same.
Wait, nightfall, running into the farms. You look pretty young as well. That is. Who's monitoring that? How would that work out? Like, hello, like.
My parents were about to scold me when I came back, but when they saw that worried,
They wouldn't know. They wouldn't. It'd be too late. I mean, when they watching or something, like, could they buy it or like ensure that you have a supervisor or something? Especially at night, you cannot justify allowing that to happen at night, running into the forest at night, especially. Yeah, the nighttime factor is it's a no-no for me.
scared look on my face, they took me inside. I finally felt relieved when I entered the house. I was only 7, so I didn't know anyone well there. So I met up with this boy named Matthew. I loved spending time with Matthew. He was like a younger brother to me. When I told my grandma about him, she was shocked, and she asked me where he lived. I told her that he lived at the other side of the farm. We had this
Yeah, the other side of a farm that doesn't exist. I bet that side, that's apparent. You just find out that this character is just a ghost or something like that.
mosque on our side, and whenever he heard the call of prayer, he started to collapse and close his ears shut, which always made me wonder why he was like that. However, this night was the first time I'd ever met him. My summer vacation was ending, so we'd only planned to stay about a week. When I told him that I was leaving, he just got up and yelled at me. "Are you crazy? How can you leave me?" He just shouted at me, which made me worry about him. And then I
Red
asked what
flag.
was wrong. He didn't calm down. He took a rock and he threw it at the window of an abandoned house. Then we both just saw a dark figure passing by. Mischievous me had the idea of going inside to check it out. And Matthew
Well, I don't know. How is it that what what is that? What is that inkling to go and investigate? Like, it's so sketchy. I don't know what time of day they didn't mention time of days, but that is super sketchy. Think about yourself in this situation. Just go about your business and don't. But I don't know. I don't know.
agreed because we both like an adventure. I actually thought it might calm him down a little. So we opened that huge, old gate and went inside. And let me tell you, it was a different atmosphere inside. I could feel something, like a weight. It was something really strange. I looked at Matthew and he seemed normal. I tried to ignore
Yeah, cause strange to you is the normal for him. Look at his eyes. He's charged up. He's charged up in the darkness. Oh my god.
that feeling as we were standing in the entrance. We walked inside. I can remember everything like it was yesterday. Matthew had his hands in his pockets and he was whistling. He was perfectly fine. On the other hand, my fists were clenched and I was trying not to cry because I felt so weird. I took deep breaths and closed my eyes. After a few moments, I opened my eyes back up, and Matthew wasn't near me anymore. And at that moment, a figure came running at me aggressively. I fell on the ground and screamed. I screamed as loud and as hard as I could until everything went black. And the next thing I knew, I was waking up in my bedroom. Nobody talked to me that entire day. And at the end of the week, we left. The next year, we returned to the farm and I didn't see Matthew anywhere. But for 5 years, I kept thinking about him. I thought I would never see him again. But on that 5th year, he was there with his bright
5 years after such an incident. Like, come on, like the story is make it believable, okay? Some demon thing just appears out of nowhere, will traumatize you for life. Like, how would you still stay there unless your parents didn't believe you or something like that? How does that work out?
Smile. And luckily, he remembered me. I was so happy to see him again. One night, we were both sitting in front of my house, and I asked him, "Do you remember that day when we went into that house near the farm?" And he took a sip of his soda and said, "Yes. How could I ever forget that?" I asked him what had happened to me, with tears in my eyes. He replied, "You just screamed and fainted." After a long pause, he broke the silence between us and said, "It was as if you had seen something." Visibly upset, I looked at him and stammered, How did, how do you, how do you know that?" And he said,
Because he was that something that you saw.
"You saw the ghost of that house, which is also after me, and it beats me up every time I hear the call of prayer." And a tear ran down my face because I couldn't believe what he'd just said. After that, our families became a lot closer, and his cousin's brother and my cousin's
On the
sister even
trauma.
got married because they had fallen in love.
Okay, guys. That just didn't that that I don't know, guys. Leave your comment sections. Leave your comments down in the comment section about what you think about this story. I don't know how I feel about that. I am just, yeah, I'm out.